What makes Heroku fundamentally different under the hood? And is there a possibility if you can show a bit of that magic light? And if you have something to show to us?
Yeah, certainly. I can actually show you how you can get started with your app almost immediately. So I hope everybody can see my screen. This is just
I
my
can.
Heroku account. You can, or
Yeah.
you good? Okay. So let's create a new app. A new app is just about clicking create new app. I just give it a name. I can choose whether it's a common runtime or a private space. Common runtime is essentially our multi-tenant system. You can have noisy neighbors and so on. Private space is your network isolated space. It's a matter of checking a box, or choosing a radio button between a common runtime and private space. For now, we can choose the private space, and I can choose my test space that I've already created. And we will see how to create a space really quickly at a later part of the demo. I can add it to a pipeline. It's as easy as saying I can choose a pipeline or can create a new pipeline. What's a pipeline? Essentially, the whole DevOps management for you to take it from your review app, which is basically your developer just building an app and trying to deploy it, and then taking it to your staging, then your testing, and then your production environment. So that's what your pipeline does for you. And you can have automated gates so that it needs to meet a certain criteria to move it. For example, there should be no errors and so on. So let me go ahead and create this app now. It's as easy as that. That's it. My app is ready. I have this code base that I want to deploy. It's a sample Heroku App Link app, and we'll talk about what Heroku App Link is. It's a very simple app. It basically generates or summarizes PDF files for you, or generates a summarized PDF for you. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to choose GitHub. I can use a CLI as well. But for the purposes of this demo, I'm just using the UI to show you how simple it is to set this whole thing up. I'm just going to search for my repo. This is my sample repo. I'm going to hit connect. And it's ready to deploy. And I can turn on auto deploy, and I can basically wait for GitHub's checks to pass before I deploy. So like, as I said, I can set up some rules, and then I can say deploy branch. I can choose which branch to deploy as well. And that's about it. This should essentially build logs to show you, where in the process it is in terms of deploying the app. Now, say I basically deployed this app and I wanted to add Postgres, right? I'm just going to let the modules deploy and so on. All I need to do is I need to search for Heroku Postgres here. I can pick what plan I want, and you can actually see what's the max. And we are coming up with something called next generation of Postgres, which is basically going to allow you to choose between storage or CPU. So sometimes you need storage, you don't need much of CPU, but sometimes you need CPU and not much of storage. So you can choose whichever one you want. So you're going to give more facets in which to choose. But for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to sell essential 0. I understand, and I hit submit order form. That's about it. It basically schedules it. Now, we also have another add-on called Heroku Inference Models. Basically, it is our managed inference and agents, and you can use that out of the box. So these are all Heroku vetted inference models. So we don't store any of your data. So you don't need to worry about, hey, does my data go here and we used to train models? Absolutely not. Your data remains with you. This is essentially just models that we provide you so that you can use it within your app. I can simply choose my plan, submit order form, and I'm done. I've added in less than a few minutes, a Postgres instance, Heroku inference. I can also add something called as Heroku App Link. I can add a key value store, all of it the same way. And what Heroku App Link does is essentially connects your app to your Salesforce org, and we'll see that in a demo as well. And then I can hit submit order, and that's about it. Heroku App Link is there as well. Before we go ahead and look at Heroku App Link, I just want to show you Heroku Connect as well, because Connect essentially allows you to sync data between Salesforce and Heroku Postgres without you having to worry about any of the limits in terms of APIs or bulk API and so on. It's as easy as adding Heroku Connect and then creating a new mapping. It'll go and fetch the object that you have, and you can choose any of the objects that you have. And recently we also support CDC-based accelerated pooling. So you can now choose accelerated pooling for any of your objects where CDC is enabled. So for this one, let me just pick asset. I can choose create a date. I can choose what all fields I want to sync. And I can basically say, is it going to write back or no? And I can hit save. And that's about it. The asset will also start to sync. So that was Heroku Connect. Now we added Heroku App Link to the sample Node.js app. And as I said, all this does is it generates a PDF file. What is Heroku App Link? One of the things that we realized with intelligent platforms is we need to make sure that we are tightly integrated into platforms like Salesforce, where we basically can connect and essentially run it as a specific user, like your Apex trigger used to run as the user at the keyboard. So with Heroku App Link, now you can have a microservice in Heroku that does exactly the same thing. And we just talked about one org having multiple triggers, but now having to replicate these triggers and services across org when you have multi-org. With Heroku App Link, you can connect to one app, that microservice that is created for generating PDFs, to more than one orgs. So you can basically connect it to one or many orgs. And the same with authorization. This is when you connect an app, you can run it as the specific user. But if you want to run it as an API user, for example, if you have a batch job that needs to run nightly, and we all know you can only run 5 batch jobs at a time. Even with a flex queue, you'll be able to run only X amount of batch jobs. With Heroku, that's not an issue. You can run as many batch jobs as you want. So essentially, you can run it as that specific user. And the good part about this is recently you've heard a lot about the third-party token attacks and taking the data and stuff. Heroku App Link secures all of that for you. So these are all short-lived tokens. We manage all the token minting for you, refreshing of the tokens, all of that. It's a one-time setup. We manage everything else for you. So what does it look like if this demo doesn't look like, if you don't see it from the Salesforce angle as well? So in Salesforce, if you have an org, you can now go into your setup screen and you should be able to search for Heroku. And you will see there is about Heroku and apps available in all orgs. And what it does is when you click on, if you have imported any apps, you can now see Heroku as the creation source. So we can actually mint the token for the user. If it is any other creation source, you will not be able to run it as the specific user. You can run it as a random API user, which has a long-lived token, be exposed to some of the issues that come with long-lived token. But if you're using Heroku App Link, you are using short-lived token, and you can run it as a specific user. So as you can see, generate finance agreement PDF is one of them, but I can have multiple, operations, as you may say. Now, once I have it exposed here, I can not only call it from Flows or Apex, which we can do out of the box, but we can also call it from Agentforce. So any of your microservices that you create in Heroku, you can now call it from Agentforce. So in this particular example, my sample app, if you look at the app itself, it not only uses, let me go back in here. It uses an inference agent. It uses Heroku App Link. So it generates a PDF file. So let's look at how it looks like from an Agentforce perspective. Here, I just want to buy a car. I'm going to provide my email and the model I'm interested in. And it basically reaches back to Heroku. One of the things I missed was making sure that I provide you the logs. So yeah, seeing the logs is as good as just clicking on view logs. So let's ask for this to generate a PDF. And then you will see that the request comes into Heroku, generates the PDF, and uploads it back as an content document. So this is just for the demo purposes, we printed everything into the log line, but you can actually see we get the request, it generates the PDF document, and then pushes it as a content document right in here. And you can, as I said, you can call this from Flows, you can call it from Agentforce, you can call it from Apex. It doesn't matter, and it's your choice where you want to call it from. It's a one-stop shop. You publish it once, and you can use it multiple times. This is a simple PDF generator, but you could I have a complex one. I have a sample where if we are doing an X-ray analysis, right, on a health cloud org. So yeah, that is a quick and easy demo on how you can use Heroku with Salesforce. But Heroku is not limited to Salesforce. You can use it from any other platform as well. But we are just making it super easy for you to extend your Salesforce org. So you stop having to build a lot of code that you cannot reuse. So you have microservices that can serve one or more orgs and publish it once and use it again and again.